Thank you for joining in that beautiful prayer this morning. Well, today's talk was assigned to me by the Reverend Sky St. John. The real Christmas. Sky and I talked about this before he returned home on Tuesday. And he told me he intended to weave the Christmas story with the story he would tell you about himself. I couldn't think of anything better to do than to follow that lead. The only problem is we don't have a course on channeling in our ministerial curriculum, and so I'm kind of standing out here a little bit on my own, me and God. But the real Christmas for me has meant different things at different times. And as I sought to find what it was this particular day, for this particular Christmas, I thought of all the gifts that over my lifetime have come at Christmas time or been representative of the light that exists in the world. Now, I love to give gifts, and I got to say, I love to receive them. And I love the joy that comes with sharing with one another, with somebody you care for, whether it's somebody you love and you've worked carefully to find just the perfect gift for them, or you simply want to make a loving gesture to somebody, and you bring what you have and offer it in the moment. When we give gifts, we are expressing the energy of God through our gift. Now, I never knew really what it was like to give somebody a gift that they really appreciated until I acquired a 13-year-old stepdaughter. Boy, howdy, could she register her pleasure at gifts. And so we still squeal with delight, she and I, when something is pleasing. We'll usually run to one another and hug and say, "Oh, let the squealing begin." And it might be about gifts, or it might simply be about the gift of presence with one another. To be a friend with Sky is to receive such beautiful gifts. When he selects a gift for Christmas or birthday or a special occasion like becoming a licensed teacher, he does so with such thoughtfulness for the relationship that exists between you, for who you are, for what he knows about you. And I have received such thoughtful, sweet gifts from him over these several years. Now, back in history, I worked for a gentleman who was extremely generous. And I once had a birthday gift of a dozen roses every hour, on the hour, all day long. My office did look positively funereal by the end of the day. And it just so happened that he gave me a concert with Pablo Cruz, an 80s band, and Gallagher, the guy that smashes watermelons. Okay. It was a corporate event, but it happened on my birthday, and so I just gratefully received. Isn't that how life is? Things show up unexpectedly, and let's gratefully receive the gifts, all of them, that come our way. And even in the experiences we might not like very much, there are gifts to be unwrapped. So today is a little about unwrapping the gifts this Christmas season in the midst of the experience we are having in our community. I'm just going to breathe into that. I'm going to receive the gifts in the midst of what is happening in our community. Gary reminded us last week, or invited us, to have the best Christmas ever. That's my intention. I will do so. I will honor Christmas for Sky as much as for my own heart, to open that space of the joy of the Christmas season, a season of birth, a particular birth over 2,000 years ago that set a whole new experience in motion for humanity in the world, that changed individual lives and changed the future of humanity. And so when we stand in the experience of the Christmas season, the birth of the consciousness of the Christ in our own self, in our own being, with that should come great joy. So I invite us this morning to be open to receive the gift of joy that this season represents. Now, Sky St. John brought lots of gifts into the world and into our community. First, at the global level, he was a person of global impact. Because of Sky and his belief in the power of the unity movement to heal the planet, he worked tirelessly to be a voice of unity in the world, not just here in our own home and for our own ohana. He began a community that became a thriving unity center in the Philippines, Manila, Philippines. He planted a community in Santiago, Chile that still continues. He worked in the international work of the unity movement for 2 years to support and help thrive other areas of the unity movement outside of the mainland U.S. and our own Pacific region. It was his energy that coalesced our region into the vision coming to life of a unity national school here and the enlivening of the schools in New Zealand and Australia, so that there are leaders being birthed in our community to extend the reach of unity and its principles, to extend the reach of the light that it brings into the world. He had global impact. Now, in the last few days, we've been collecting your comments and receiving them. They've come like gifts for all of us in the office, by email, on the website. In response to the vigil on Friday evening, we had some books where people could sign messages to Sky. And about his global impact, this comment came in on our website, that he was growing the light on the planet. Growing the light for everyone. And his invitation to us is to remember that we are that light as well. And when we live with the light shining in us, then we become light for others. We extend the experience of God itself through our own light shone outward in the world. And he intended that all of us should be the vessels of light for everyone. A gift to unwrap this season. He also had immense local impact here in our own community and the greater community outside. Now, a number of years ago, there was a very active congregant by the name of Fred Schneringer who kind of nudged and pushed and cajoled Sky to help this community become a church that is reaching out and serving others in the world, to live what Mr. Fillmore, one of our co-founders of the Unity Movement, asked us to do, to extend our spiritual principles beyond our own selves and to do good works in the world. Sky had this immense ability to coalesce energy and grab people who didn't know they were even called and set them forth in a vision, and miracles took place here in our community. For about 6 years, every Monday evening, we've been providing a meal to our homeless neighbors down in the park near the beach out of Fred Schneringer's energy and Sky's vision. Now, it so happens that Fred himself passed away a couple of months ago. I am quite certain he was waiting at the threshold for Sky to arrive, a to-do list in hand, saying, buddy, the work isn't done. You're just getting started. Glad you're here. What's taking you so long? Local impact. He cared very much about meeting the needs of people where they were right now. Our work with Gregory House for these 4 or 5 years has arisen out of that same energy, to have compassion and do what we can to support our brothers and sisters who are living with disease and on the edge of homelessness. He was a man of great vision, a gift that we will continue to unwrap in this community in the years to come. One person said it this way in an email to the church: one person can make an impact, the ripple goes on. So what we start, even in small ways from this moment, will go forward. And we have the capacity to create the kind of transformation in our own life that creates transformation elsewhere. We may now be the starting point for the change of energy on the planet, much as it was over 2,000 years ago. If we decide to be the Christ consciousness lived outward that is within us, then we too will change the world. And mostly, I think for all of us, he gave us rich, deep gifts for ourself and of self. He called us forth into what our soul's knowing was, what the purpose of being on the planet at this time meant, how we could respond to the heart calling within us and step out in love and compassion and service. He modeled that for us, and he kind of called us forward into that experience on Sunday mornings with his inspiring messages. If you were in a class with Sky, you had one of the best experiences on this campus to learn from him about the experience of the Jesus that lives within us, not just the Jesus that walked the earth, but that consciousness of the Christ that it is alive in us. And he worked in class to have you experience and feel it. Many of you have given us these comments about Sky's direct impact in your life. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You spoke to my heart and my soul. And you gave us an atmosphere in which we could grow and heal in community, supporting one another, having compassion for each one's journey and each one's process. Gifts to unwrap in this holiday season from Sky St. John. Now, he had several ways that he recommended to us, invitations to us for how we were to go about living in that expansion of our own being. The first one is love transforms. Love transforms everything. Love transforms all the time. For Sky St. John, there was no other way to solve a problem but love. If you've got something going on in your life that needs healed, then just love it into wholeness. If you've got a relationship that's broken, then be the one who steps forward in love and release and let go whatever was. He said over and over how the capacity to love was the creative force that moved in each of our lives. It is the creative force that moves in the universe. Love is a synonym for God for many of us. I began my Unity experience at Unity of Bremerton near Seattle. And as I would look at this wall in the sanctuary, where up above here we have a beautiful sign that says, "Peace, be still." In Bremerton, on the front of the choir loft are the words, "God is love." And that is so cemented in my being, that God is love. And then Sky took it from, out there, this thing I would look at and could see, and he helped me place it here in my heart, where it became fuel for my life, where it became energy for creation. And that's the same I know he gave all of you. The inspiration to live from the truth of your being. Another thing he always, quote, yes, thank you. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy to a friend, Reverend Martin Luther King. The creative, energizing force in the universe is how Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, defined love. Sometimes we wait and think, well, if all else fails, I'll try that. I invite you to step out in love as the first choice. Unwrap that gift. Thank you. Oh, boy, did he like to remind us of this. Life is about change. If we are resisting change, we are resisting life. Now, he loved to sit with his funny little Buddha smile at the staff table and talk about something that he was proposing or a change that we all knew was coming, and he'd just watch us. One of us would get our shoulders all like this, another one would be all tight in the jaw like that, and somebody would be gripping the chair. I'd be over there stomping my foot, and you don't want to change. And he would just embrace the new that was coming. He would always be seeking for the experience of the new. Because if we are standing still, if we are trying to hold on and not have anything be different than what it is, we are in a process of decline. We need to embrace what is coming our way. Whether we define it as good or we call it something else. Oh, just give up the resistance because it's futile and embrace the change and celebrate it and see what gifts will unwrap from recognizing it's an integral process of living. We must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us, said Joseph Campbell. These are some of the first words I heard from Sky St. John's mouth when he came to Bremerton to interview my church and my board and me about the possibility of my coming here as an intern. He looked at me across the table, and maybe my jaw was a little tight or something, because he said, "What are you afraid of?" "I don't know." Maybe I answered. And he said, "Everything is unfolding from this point. If you look backwards, if you try to hold on, you prevent yourself from having all that God would show up with now." He said, "Come on, baby, just take one step forward. Just come with me, just one step. Embrace the change and move into the experience of the better life than even this moment." And I mean particularly this Sunday morning moment of this particular week for all of us. Embrace the change. Breathe in. And wait to see what God has coming for us now. I can't wait to see what God has coming for us now. Yeah. And he always invited us to show up, didn't he? Yes. To show up as our holy self. To show up with all the light we can have and be filled with more light when we come together. He invited us to show up in the spirit of love and transformation. Remember all the things, all the theme years that he asked us for? I arrived in the year of transformation. Oh, whoops, yeah, it was about like that. I thought, Sky, what are you thinking? And other years, do you remember that this is the year of letting go? Yeah. We always were invited to come and dance, to come and play, to show up for the life experience that we called ourselves to. This is what Sky said. God didn't say I would like it. He only said I had to show up. This was his reminder to himself when he would get in kind of a stuck place, or there would be guidance coming and he wanted to resist the voice calling him to a new experience, the next step. And he would just say, from the beginning, God didn't say I'd like it. He just said I had to be in the process. I had to show up. I had to do the dance. And I'd said yes a long time ago. Who will show up with me this morning and from this point forward? Yeah, thank you all. Thank you for that. So I think these are the gifts of a real Christmas in our community to be aware of at this exact moment. It is indeed honoring this birth of nearly 2,000 years ago, but more importantly, the awareness that that consciousness that came to the planet at that time is available, already imprinted in us. And we are invited to step into the Christ of our being and to live fully from that place. And Sky gave us the tools of knowing that love transforms everything all the time. And he gave us the tool of recognizing change is just a part of the process. He invited us to be in joy with the changes that come our way. And he said, just show up, and it will all be well. And I know all is well with his soul this Christmas Sunday. So I invite you to breathe, to come to that place in the center of your own being, where the light of God, the light of the Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, whatever you address as your holy divine self, be present to that in this moment and ask that you recognize the gifts of the great teachers who have moved in your life. Maybe it's someone sitting next to you this morning. Maybe a benefactor from earlier in your life. Maybe Sky St. John. Invite your awareness of all the gifts and the blessings that come in every moment, every experience. And in deep gratitude for this recognition, we come with this question: what are the gifts of this season? As we meet God in the silence.